Okay, so there's a few things you might have heard about flipped learning and it being just a case of kind of chucking videos up and so on, but it's really the idea of flipped learning is to give a homework prior to a lesson that allows students to learn some of the facts before the lesson, giving you more time in the lesson or for the whole topic to get into the actual investigation inquiry side of using those facts and using that knowledge and applying them into some inquiry-based learning within class. So it kind of frees up some of your class time by learning some of the facts in advance. It also helps every student to start on a level playing field. So, you know, you do get topics like space, which is the example I used today, where you get some students who have been really interested in space for ages. So they'll know loads and loads and loads of facts, but you might have another student who's never had opportunity to learn that. So by flipping the learning and giving them an opportunity to learn some before the lesson, it just starts everyone on the same level playing field at the beginning, or as close to as possible. It also gives you an understanding of any prior knowledge they have before you start planning the topic. So you could be setting the flipped learning to be done before the holidays if you then want to plan over the holidays ready for the next term. And you can find out a bit more about what the students want to learn about a topic before you do your planning as well. And you can also front load some key vocabulary. So having pictorials and images and videos and things that you can use in advance helps to really kind of illustrate key vocabulary in advance, particularly helpful for any students who are EAL and are coming to the topic, which might be quite scientific particularly, and they might not have that key vocabulary in advance. So having a look at this space example, as I say, I've got a lesson here now. Unio works, and your free version of Unio will allow you to run a live lesson with all your students logged in the classroom. It's all browser based and they don't have to download anything, so they can all log in, and you can see I can guide students through the slides that I've created, either via upload or creating them within Unio, and I can guide them all on the same slide, or they can go onto other slides. If you have the full paid version of Unio, you can also have student logins that they can use anytime, so it doesn't have to be live. So they can go in from home and they can go through the slides at their own pace. They can revise them, they can go over them as many times as they like, and they can go back and forth within those slides in their own student account. And as a teacher, you still get access to see everything that they're doing whenever you want to drop in, but it means that they can do it at their own pace and in their own time. You can also set that as homework after the lesson, so it doesn't have to be flipped. They can annotate their version of the slides, so they can annotate onto their version, and you can have a look at their annotations. So that might be for their own revision, it might be for their own kind of way that they want to work through, but it could also be questions to use in class. You could be asking them to do this, you know, put some questions onto the slides so that you can then show their version of the slides into class, because you can dip in and out really easily. So you can show on the whiteboard their slides and dip into ones that you know have asked some questions, or you can actually mark them as part of these slides as well. So I've put a tick on this one. Students can also ask you questions through a little message tool of Ask a Question, and these ones come through onto your dashboard. You can see I've got a little one in the red circle, and on the right I've got my notifications of any questions that come in. So these again could be live within a lesson, but you could also, as part of flipped learning, have these kind of backing up and ask students to send in any questions or any comments about what they want to learn as part of the topic, and you can then either feed these into planning, or it's great to bring this up in the lesson and actually start working through them as a whole class, and you can start kind of going through those questions. And you might get some questions in from students that kind of wouldn't necessarily put their hand up at the start of a topic or the start of a lesson. Usually if they're lacking that confidence, it gives them the time to do it in their own time and put those questions into you in advance, so you're all prepped, so they're all prepped. The other thing you can add is quizzes. So you can add a quiz which will help you to add to your knowledge of what their prior understanding is, as well as understanding what they've learnt from the slides. You can put a quiz in at the beginning of the slides, then they go through the slides and do another quiz at the end, or you might just have a quiz here and then you can relaunch the quiz later on in the topic and ask them to go back to that lesson and see if they've learnt any more. And once they've taken that quiz, you can get the results as a whole class result per question, or each student's reply to all questions, or a really good gap analysis of all the students across all the questions. So again, it's really feeding into your planning so that you know exactly what you're going to be putting into the lessons. If they all know all the different things that you've added in, especially if you just do quizzes, you don't have to do any of the front loading. This could be just a Unio lesson that they do from home that includes a couple of quizzes and then a couple of opportunities for them to write you some text or write some questions. So it doesn't have to be massively involved on your part. It could be, you could put all the onus on them to answer questions and find out things for themselves, and you can simply be building up slides, putting questions in and asking them to do some research and come back to the quiz when they've done their research. So how much work you put in versus how much work they put in is entirely up to you. You can also put in a poll, which is anonymous, so you'll still get results in the same way as the quiz in terms of a bar graph, but you won't see who's said what. But so this for something more like kind of what do you want to start with, so you can kind of give them a bit of that feeling of kind of ownership and control over the topic. And on your dashboard you can dip in any time, whether during the lesson or in advance, and you can just see where everybody's at, where they've saved up to, what they've been going on so far, whether they've done the quizzes yet. And you can also already add in some marking if you want to mark in advance of the topic, or if you're setting this to finish off as homework, you can do some feedback on them as well, so you can dip in and out of those as well from there. You can also, as I say, relaunch a quiz that you've already done, or you can create another one if you go back to the lesson that you've already created, even if they're already working on it. So if you're interested in getting a free account, it's uniobyharness.com if you haven't got one already. So you can get a free account, but that doesn't give you the student access from home with individual logins. So that would be for live lessons. But do give the live version a try, and if you're interested in a full demo or an extended trial of the paid version, then just give them a call or get in contact. And you can see you've got some live support there as well. You also got loads of tutorials once you get into your free account. There's a whole load of video tutorials that you can use to find out how to do all of these things, and to find out more about all the different tools available.